So our 5 best garden starter plants. This was the most controversial category because first we need to explain it. What do we mean by garden starter plants? And what we mean is no matter where you are in the Southeast, no matter what kind of light conditions you have, whether it's sun or shade, and you just want, and you have a small budget, and you just say, I want to get started, or I want to gift these to somebody and get them started. So we narrowed it down. There were many, many, many choices we could have gone with, but we narrowed it down to these because all of these, and there's a tree, there's a shrub, and 3 perennials as part of this selection. We thought that was a good balance. Again, almost no matter what conditions you have, these will work. They're kind of a part sun, part shade type plant. So, you know, the ubiquitous flowering dogwood, many of you already have that. It is by far one of the most beloved natives that just about anyone on the street knows about. And then the wonderful shrub, the dwarf fothergilla, that can grow in sun or shade, that not only has those honey-scented flowers you see pictured there in the middle, but then exquisite fall color and a great size. It's one of these that if you pick the cultivar, especially Mount Airy, you're not going to be having to deal with pruning. Phlox. Did you know that all phlox are native to North America? So this is one of our native plants that the world over is an absolute staple of perennial gardens, and we can claim that. Rudbeckia, but we specifically picked Rudbeckia triloba, and Larry's going to talk more about that, so I'm not going to say too much. And then finally, Stokes aster, just such a showy plant, pollinator magnet. It could have gone on our pollinator magnet list as well, and long lasting. So I am now going to ask Amy to advance the slides, and then Larry is going to start talking about the one that we picked out of all these to dive deeper into. So there we go. All right, take it away, Larry.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm glad to be here and glad for you all to be here. So many of you I haven't seen for almost 6 months. Just a word about my health, since you'll all be wondering. I'm doing pretty good. I sit outside a lot, and as Paula alluded to, one of the good things about the COVID pandemic is I am sitting outside a lot, and I've learned more about birds and bees and butterflies in the past 6 months than I have in the past 60 years, just being outside with them every day. So that's been fun. So of these 5 beginner plants, which might seem strange for you to say, how did you pick 5? And Paula talked about that. You can grow these almost anywhere. Of these, we've decided to talk about the Blackeyed Susans or the Rudbeckias in greater detail because there's so many of them. And while generally they are high sun plants, you're going to get more flowers per unit area for every extra ray of sun. There are some that can grow in the shade, and especially this first one here on the left, the Rudbeckia triloba can grow in the sun. And then the little brown-eyed Susan, Rudbeckia triloba, is a good one that can grow in part shade. But black-eyed Susans and brown-eyed Susans and whatever common names you want to use are great plants because they bloom so long, and they bloom really most of the middle summer. And the reason for that is I have a little plant here. Bring this up a little closer. The reason black-eyed Susans are probably the longest blooming plants I know of that are showy is they have so many little flowers in the center. These, of course, are called the composites, and they have dozens of small flowers in the center of this fake flower, and they open a few of them every day, and so they bloom and bloom and bloom. These have been blooming in my yard for over a month now, and some are winding down, and some are just starting up, and some are going strong. So that's the reason they bloom for such a long time. So you cannot go wrong with a member of the Black-eyed Susan clan. And if you need to pick for shade or sun, you can do that. Most of these are perennials. There is an annual. The Rudbeckia hirta is an annual. They make big flowers and can be grown every year different batches. But the other Black-eyed Susans are perennials, and the more sun, the better. Here you see a couple of uses of them, one in mass in a flower bed, and another a little more breezy with some grasses. The one on the left is the brown-eyed Susan that you can grow a little bit in the shade.
Amy, thanks.
Oh, here's more Black-eyed Susans.
Yeah.
The newest one, the sweet cone flower on the left, is a big tall guy. Mine's 6 feet tall, in full bloom just now. And they go on and bloom. The middle pick to the right is the giant cone flower. They're finished blooming. They bloom early in the year, contrary to other Black-eyed Susans. And they make striking garden specimens, robust, beautiful foliage as well as flowers. And they're a good choice for earlier in the year if you have a little extra space. There's also the green coneflower, which I don't think we have illustrated, which is a good woodland species. And there's some others, but these are the main ones that are available.
So Larry, do you actually have a favorite?
Yes, it's the one I'm looking at. I really like the sweet coneflower just because it's so robust, but I can't beat the regular gold stem Black-eyed Susan because it blooms all summer. It colonizes in our yard. I can sit out there and look at it all day. It attracts the goldfinch birds. It attracts butterflies. I know they're going to be there and do well. The only one I don't like is the cultivar, shown on the left there with the tubular petals.
Yeah, put that on just for you, Larry.
I know, and that's great because we are each of us an individual gardener, and we can grow whatever we well please.
Yes.
If we like something, we can grow it. If we don't like something, we don't have to grow it. And I don't see too many bad things about
it's
plants.
Super hard for me to pick my favorite because I love Rudbeckia maxima. I love to see the goldfinches picking the seed out of there, and when they do on those long stalks, they dip over. Their weight of the goldfinch dip down that, and then when they fly off, it dips back up.
Right.
So I love that. And
Action in the garden.
And then Rudbeckia triloba, I mean, I wouldn't be without that, especially for the fact that it can be in sun or shade, and it does reseed. Some people say it reseeds too much for them. For me, it's not been too bad.
Those little seedlings are easy to pull up if they come up in the wrong place. So
yes,
pull them up, pot them up, give them to a kid. You can't go wrong growing the little brown-eyed Susan.
And then I got to say one more thing, which is, I mean, I'm in love with sweet coneflower, and I had no idea why it was called sweet coneflower until one day I was outside, and right there where it's pictured, that's outside the greenhouse, and I could smell this. It's like almost a sweet licorice, like slight licorice smell, and I was like, "What is that? What is that?" It's the sweet coneflower, and I actually think it comes as much from the foliage as it does from the bloom. So that's a nice little surprise.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. There's a butterfly.
So
that looks like it's on the green coneflower, which would be in the woodland.
It is. That one's on Rudbeckia laciniata. So these, when we come to these images, that means it's question time. So we're willing to take questions. And so I believe Beth is more or less monitoring that. So
one question we have from Bruce is, how do we propagate these perennials?
Seed. Most of them make good seed. Maybe not a lot of fresh seed, and you have to get them before the goldfinches do, but they'll pop around in your garden from seed. And then also you can divide the clumps, like gold stem and sweet coneflower and some of the others that kind of spread. Those are easy to dig up and pot up the little plants. The small flowered brown Black-eyed Susan is probably the easiest from seed. Its clumps are so tight, they're kind of tricky to divide, but you should get the most seed from them. So pick a few heads when they ripen and set them aside to dry out, and you'll get seeds from them, and you can plant them in the fall in a pot or outdoors, and they should come up the the following spring after a cold winter. They need a cold winter outdoors to come up.
And my Rudbeckia maxima reseeds itself very well.
Right.
Triloba very well. I have not seen the sweet coneflower too much, but we have done that from divisions, and we've done the fulgida from divisions.
Right.
And one more
Fulgida makes nice little runners and
Yep.
little offsets.
Right.
And one more question before we move on to the next. And talk about best practices in terms of deadheading or cutting back in the fall.
Well, the goldfinches are going to, or other birds are going to eat the seeds before too long. So by fall, certainly by October 1st, seeds are going to be all gone, and the plants could be dying back. You could go ahead and cut them off to near the ground. Whatever you prefer and whatever might look good in your garden. Eventually, they're going to die down, and you'll want to remove them unless you want to leave them there for other critters to use during the winter, whatever suits you. But the seeds are going to be gone within just a few weeks of when flowering stops.